I wonder how much of my computer this is actually going to pick up. We'll find out, I guess. Anyway, hello and welcome back to The Lion's Den. I'm your host, Matt, as always. And this is a bit of a scuffed recording setup, not gonna lie. And I have no idea how it's gonna sound, but we're going with it. So, at least it's recording, that's one thing. I want to talk about something I've been mildly obsessed with for a little while now, which is a YouTube channel called The Dancing Bacons. There's no the, it's just called Dancing Bacons. But it's fascinating because they do these videos of Asian food generally. It's either like Asian restaurants or convenience stores or just a product category from supermarkets in Asia, and it's just mildly interesting because it's a lot of Eastern stuff that I, as a Westerner, would not really have been introduced to without kind of exploring it myself because it's not prevalent here. The biggest thing, as daft as it is kind of instant noodles and ramen style stuff, which is wild over there, absolutely wild. It's a much bigger thing in Asian countries than it is here in the West. I mean, we really like it over here, and obviously that's given rise to kind of pop-up shops and a lot of companies just bringing over their products to the Western world, but it's so much more of a big thing over there. Like, I watched this video literally this morning where there's a convenience store that literally just sells instant noodle stuff. And you go around, you pick out whichever kind of instant noodle base you want, and they had stuff from multiple different countries. They had South Korean stuff, they had Indonesian stuff, Japanese stuff, Chinese stuff, they had loads. It was crazy. You pick out that base, you then pick out whatever toppings you want to put on stuff, whatever stuff you want to put on top as well. You pay for everything, and then you can cook it then and there. And they have some really interesting technology over there. Like, they give you this cardboard container that you can then put on an improvised hot plate and it will heat your stuff for you. It's crazy. Like, how can you have something cardboard and boil noodles in it? I don't know, but they do it somehow. It's really interesting. And a lot of it's either wildly expensive or really cheap in comparison to what you're getting, so that's always a fun comparison. I really like that when they go around different McDonald's in different countries, because the McDonald's menu is completely different depending on what country you're in, because obviously they'll offer regional dishes, they'll also offer dishes based on the culture of that place. Like, I know in countries that most of the people are Muslim, the menu will be halal instead, which often leads to different choices because obviously that excludes things like pork. So yeah, it's just kind of curious, honestly. And I think it leads into this slight kind of ASMR lane, I suppose, because the videos that they do are not silent and not like really high gain recordings, but they don't talk in them particularly. It's just kind of the ambient noise of like the packages that they're opening and maybe like the wind and the birds outside. So it's all subtitled, which is fine, because I mean, otherwise I wouldn't understand a word that's going on, because a lot of them are in different languages on the packaging and whatnot. But really nice, kind of relaxing, I suppose. And like I say, maybe slides a little bit into that ASMR, but not quite into that realm. I think as well, there's certain cultural things in Asia that just aren't present in the West. Like, you can order hot pot kits, like an entire hot pot kit. So they send you the whole machine, they send you the soup base and all of the vegetables and meat bits that you want to then cook in the hot pot. You literally just have a hot pot at home. They have Korean barbecue kits. So literally the whole setup that you would have in a restaurant here, you can order and they'll just send it to your home with a little mini electric hot plate and all of the bits to do Korean barbecue. It's like wild, honestly, and it just looks really cool and interesting. I know personally for me, I might not enjoy a lot of this stuff because a lot of Asian food is generally kind of seafood based things. A lot of like crab and seafood, shrimp, prawns, lobster. I've seen a fair bit. Fish cakes, which are these like really weird compact little cubes that they call fish cakes. I have no idea what they actually are. But they look interesting enough. And I try most of this stuff like at least once, you know. But yeah, I'd be mostly sticking towards the kind of the stuff that we would eat more in the Western world. You know, your beef, your pork, your chicken, that kind of stuff. If I liked mushrooms as well, I imagine that'd be great because they do a lot of mushroom stuff in Asia, which is a shame because I haven't really branched into that realm. But maybe I'd be down to try it, especially if I was with people where if I can try something and then not like it, but someone else likes it, they can then eat it. That'd be good because I don't like waste. The funny thing is, I've watched so many of these now that I'm kind of, it's in my head. It's like it lives rent free in my mind. All of these ideas about like instant noodles and stuff. So when I was in one of our supermarkets here in the UK, I saw the same brand as they have in Asia. I think it's Nissin. It's like Nissan, but instead of an A at the end, it's an I. So it's like Nissin. They do a brand of instant noodle pots. And I was like, I'm going to buy one and see what it's like, because it was just living rent free in my head and I really wanted to try it. So I certainly did. I completely messed it up. It literally, the box, the little cup thing said 4 instructions. Can't mess this up. I messed it up. The reason I messed it up is because you get a seasoning packet with sauce in it, and I assumed that you open the container, you take the packet out, you put the packet in, and then add the water. Not realizing that this is one of the kinds where you drain the water off afterwards. So I was like, oh, I wasn't meant to do that. I was supposed to put the sauce in afterwards. Awkward. Despite that, the funny part was that where some of the sauces seeped into the uncooked noodles, they then kept it slightly crunchy, like it didn't cook as much as the rest of the stuff, and also there was then a glob of sauce. That was really nice, really tasty. The rest of it was just kind of mildly flavored, because like it basically had been sat in flavored water. But the funny thing is I still really enjoyed it. It was really nice, and a wonderful afternoon snack. I would definitely do it again, but I would also do it correctly. Because I imagine it tasted even better based on those little nuggets that I had. But they are wildly convenient though. Like everything's just in that pot and everything stays in the pot. The one I had, like I said, is one where you drain the water, and it had little holes in the lid so that it acts as like its own strainer. The cup was its own strainer. It was really clever. The only thing you don't get is any sort of utensil. But I did plan for that. So I took a fork with me so that I could actually eat the item that I'd purchased. Yeah, that's the one nice thing about my workplace is they have these water heaters that are built onto the wall, and they just constantly have hot water in them that you then just turn a dial and it pours hot water out. So great for drinks, great for instant noodles. I imagine I've seen you can get porridge pots that have just like oats in it and some seasoning and flavorings and stuff, and you just add hot water. That'd probably be really cool. The only problem is they're a bit expensive here, but the instant noodle pot was not too expensive. It was £1 for the one, but like it was a good amount of food and a good afternoon snack, so I'm not complaining. I might be more interested now as well to try the sort of ramen kits that I've seen. You can buy these kits that have, I think, the noodles, like slightly more fresh noodles rather than the instant dried noodles, and they come with like your seasoning packets and everything, and then on the back of the packaging it has kind of a list of instructions as to like what else you can add to it, if you want to add vegetables or chicken or mushrooms and whatnot. I'd be more interested to try one of those now, because if the instant stuff was tasty, I imagine a proper one that you actually cook fully would be really nice as well. So yeah, there's some merit to that. I think it does breach slightly into my broad interest in cooking, because I do watch a fair bit of cooking stuff on YouTube. Like I said, a long while ago, I recommended a guy called Adam Ragusa. He does a lot of cooking stuff, more Western style food, although he does breach into Italian stuff every once in a while, just because he has Italian American heritage. But that's always really interesting as well. He does very good at explaining simple techniques to achieve great results. Some of the stuff is kind of maybe out of my ability, because there's differences between American homes and UK homes, but one thing I am very much interested to try is his pizza recipes. So when I get some time, I think probably when I've got some time off, I will try his pizza recipes, because he has this really interesting concept of fermenting dough, which I don't think that's anything I've ever seen here in the UK. When we have recipes and chefs on TV doing it, they all just say, oh, you make your dough, you let it rise for an hour, and you kind of do it in a day, whereas his idea is that you make the dough and then you put it in the fridge and forget about it for like a week and then you come back to it, and it's supposed to improve the texture and flavor and everything. So I have always had a mild interest in cooking, because I think university showed me that I enjoyed cooking, especially if I'm experimenting and it's simple but produces a wonderful result. So it's like the reward to putting in a lot of effort, which I suppose is the whole point, isn't it? I mean, there are definitely times where fortunately you put in a lot of time and don't get very much output, but then there are those times where you put in a lot of effort and you get something really fantastic. I think off the top of my head, the one thing I enjoyed the most was I made some cookies based off of a recipe that was like 100 hours or something, or was it? No, I don't think it was 100 hours. It was more like 2 days, so that's 48 hours. 50 hours. It might have been 50 hours. And interesting, the concept is that the actual making of the cookie dough takes, I don't know, 30 minutes to an hour. But the idea is that you let the dough rest for a couple of days to let all of the flavors kind of merge and do science things so that they get better. And honestly, they were really nice cookies. I kind of blew through them very quickly. I think it's also because I was able to make cookies that I actually wanted. I put dark chocolate in it. Gorgeous. Love dark chocolate. So yeah, highly recommend. Right, anyway, I hope you all enjoyed listening to my obsession with food and cooking. I'm just going through my obsessions. Anyway, I'll see you all next week. Bye.